And we should be live. Welcome everybody to another live stream repair. You're all a bunch of nerds, but so am I, so that's all good. We've got a few different things to fix up today. First up is Fernando's HomePod that won't power on, and then we're going to move on to wrap up Mark's amplifier board from the last live stream repair. We weren't able to get the bass back fully without it crackling at higher volumes, so I want to give it one more try replacing the amp chip on there before I give up on it, and we'll go ahead and pull another amplifier board and make sure it's ready to go to ship back to him. Last, we will move on to Jesus's MacBook Air that doesn't power on, and it's got a bit of an interesting cause to it, so you guys will just have to stay tuned and see what was going on with that when we get to it. But we'll go ahead and kick things off with our bread and butter here with Fernando's HomePod that won't power on. Of course, we got to get ourselves a drink here, so cheers, folks. Okay, let's go ahead, and before we tear down or do anything to this, we're going to double check our symptoms. So Fernando says it doesn't power on, but we just want to double check and make sure that both of our interpretation of won't power on is the same here. So we'll go ahead and plug it into power with a known good power cable. And yes, indeed, we have no response, no signs of life or anything on the pod. And we've got a pretty typical 4 watts of power draw from the wall for what we expect the failure to be here. That is the diode on the amplifier board shorting out and preventing this from powering on. So let's go ahead and take this apart, see what's going on from the inside. We'll start with our iFixit Jimmy tool, and we're going to slide that underneath the plastic cover and keep it level with the top while we work our way around and cut through that adhesive. We're not using this to pry or try to pull up the top. That's how you scratch and crack it. We're just going around, and it's going to take a few times to go around to cut through that adhesive. And when you've done it enough, it'll just pop off on its own. Hey HTPC, glad you could make it. Alright, we're going to move on to our display here. We're going to take those 4 T6 screws out. And then we're going to create a gap under the display with our Jimmy tool so that we can insert our plastic tool into that gap, and then we can pry this display up. Easy peasy. Alright, we're going to unlock that connector there and free the display. Hey Fernando, glad you could make it too. And let's work on the frame for the logic board and display here. Pretty much just take out every screw you can see, take the layer off, and then continue taking out every screw you can see. And that's pretty much how you take one of these apart. We're going to pick those drawstrings out, make those nice and loose, wiggle that mesh around so that we can pull this frame out. Then we can flip the logic board around, unlock its connector, and then pull that out to free that logic board. Alright, we're gonna flip this around like a pizza pie. Set that on a base. For this next step, which is pulling this mesh down. And sometimes people ask, why do you stick it on a roll of tape for this step? And that is because if we look, after we've slid this mesh down as much as we'll need to, the mesh isn't actually sitting on the table. The base, the rubber base of the HomePod is actually sitting on the roll of tape and the tape on the table. So what this does is this keeps the mesh from squishing into your table and getting all dirty and creased up, and tries to keep it in the best condition as possible while you're working on these here. Short of taking the whole mesh off entirely, this is the best way to do it in my opinion. So we're gonna rip that ribbon cable off the top of the plastic shell here. We're gonna pinch it with one hand and pull it towards the middle of the subwoofer, and then with our other finger from our other hand, we're gonna use that to kind of wedge it in between the ribbon cable and this basket so we can detach it. We're going to make sure there's no extra little adhesive holding it down. Then we're going to go ahead and remove these rubber bits here that are covering up the screws for this basket. Now we'll take those screws around there out. Get back here. Oh yeah, no, just pretty much like any layer of this HomePod that's held together by some sort of glue or adhesive, I find it very inconsistent in terms of the performance of that adhesive from pod to pod. You could have one pod that basically just falls apart as you take it apart and the adhesive isn't doing anything. And then you've got other ones where you're basically breaking parts just to get it open. And I mean literally every part. That goes for the top adhesive here, the frame adhesive, most notably the glue that holds this top basket to the shell that we're about to crack open here. And as well as even down to the thread lock on some of the screws. We've had the thread lock be so aggressive that we've ended up breaking screw heads off before they'll come out. And then we've got other ones where the screws are like half put in. It's not what you want to see for this, for how expensive these were. So we are now prying up this basket. We are wedging a flathead in between the outer rim of the subwoofer and this basket here. There's a little gap that they give you where you can go all around and piece by piece pry this whole ring up. If you can get away with it, you can pry on the screws for the subwoofer instead of the basket around the woofer itself, which will avoid scratching up the outer bit of the subwoofer there, but it's something you'll never see. So unless you want to reuse your subwoofer in the future for something where it's going to be exposed, I'll show you what I mean here once we get this off. Okay, so as you're prying up with your flathead here, like I was saying, you've got two options. You can do these pries up against the screws for the subwoofer, or you can do it directly up against the outer rim of the woofer here, just like that. And each way has their pros and cons, right? If you pry up by the screws, then you're going to scratch the screws up, which isn't a big deal. You can just Sharpie them back in if you really care. But you can also end up bending them. It's not the end of the world. You can reuse them even if you bend them and you don't want to bend them back to a point. Now, and then if you were to pry up against the subwoofer here, you save your screws. All the screws stay in perfect condition, but you end up scratching up this outer part of the woofer here. So you end up with something that looks a little bit like this, where you've got marks around the outer edge here. So it's kind of like a pick your poison situation. And even then, depending on how difficult you find it to be prying this basket up, you may not have a choice but to pry up against both of these just to get this thing off. So, the more you know. Let's get the subwoofer out. I cannot wait to smell it. Okay, so if we zoom on in there, we can peek into the little window there to see our voice coil, and it looks fantastic. As far as actuation, it feels nice and smooth. Oh, and it smells good. It smells nice and fresh. It smells like a happy subwoofer. Okay, let's work on these rings here. And then our power supply. Let's get that taken out. Oh, we had a rogue screw. Let's stick that back in there. Alright, let's detach the ribbon cable from the board down there. And take out the 14 screws for the amplifier. And here we have the star of the show. Oh. Everything looks all right on the board. Let's go ahead and check that our diode is in fact shorted out here. Yes, sirree. That diode is dead. So let's situate ourselves, get nice and close, and we will replace that diode. Alright, dead diode be gone. Ooh, oh boy, I apologize. That was not necessary. We shall now flux it up. Tin that diode. Yummy. Molten metal. Let's get that float back on there. Come on. I'm gonna give it a few pokes. Make sure they're still alive there. Hello? Alright. It's not as centered as I want. Let's go ahead and give it a little assist. And there we go. Let's go ahead and cool this board off in front of our fan. And then we will give it a quick test-a-rooney. Okay. Power supply. Ribbon cable. Logic board. Subwoofer. Go on, get in there. Power connector. Let's get our multimeter turned on so we can check it for any DC offset. And voila, we've got power. Okay, so it's finished booting. We've got base, and we've only got about 3 to 4 millivolts of DC offset. So this board is looking fantastic. Let's go ahead and put this pod back together. Here's the shell. We'll start with putting the amp back in. Another one in the bag. The last melon. Reattach that ribbon cable down there. Lock it into place. And we'll work on our rings. Get that nice and situated. Oh, that's being a stubborn grummet, yeah? Okay. Drop the base. nice and sealed. Let's get this basket screwed back in. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to leave a like. If you don't, I'm going to intercom funny noises to your HomePod in the middle of the night. So leave a like while it's free. Okay. Let's stick the ribbon cable back to the top there. Being careful not to pull on the cable. What you can end up doing on accident if you're not careful putting this cable back, if you pull on it, you can end up pulling the grommet that seals the ribbon cable as it passes through the lower layer here. And you'll end up with a leaky bass, which ends up sounding real nasty. And you'll wonder what the heck you did. Let's cover those screws back up before we pull this mesh up. Stick the logic board back in. Stick that frame on top. Stick your drawstrings in. Ooh, we're gonna have to tweeze that one in. There we go. If your drawstrings ever being a butthole to you, you can always just use the tweezers to push the end of it through there. Alright, once we've got our screws loosely in place, just enough to hold things down, we're going to go ahead and pull the drawstrings up with one hand and squeeze the mesh into that frame with the other hand. And then every once in a while we will alternate and pull these strings apart, and continue getting it tightened up, and then back to the squish. Then we're going to push it down from the middle and hold it down. Get at least 2 opposing screws tightened. And we can let go of that and finish it. With the mesh pulled up, we can go ahead and take it off our base. Give ourselves a little more stability back. And let's go ahead and button up those drawstrings. display. Trying to get this hair out of there. There we go. Let's get that plugged in. We'll screw that down. All right, the final piece. Make sure there's nothing covering our volume buttons on there. We'll go ahead and heat this up and stick it down. All right, I think we're ready to give this a test. Let's get it plugged into some power. Smack it around a few times. And we still don't have power. Did I forget to reconnect the power supply? Let's go ahead and rewatch our work here. I feel like I did. Sometimes I do that. I make the silly mistake of not plugging that dang it power supply back in. Oh. I didn't even put the power supply back into it. That's hilarious. It's right here. Amazing. Let's go ahead and fix that. Back apart you go, sir. And therein lies our mistake. Let's go ahead and drop that power supply in. Alright, back together you go. Oh, get back here. Oh, that's sick. Look at what the wife just found at Value Village. That's pretty cool. Can't lie. All right. All right, the real moment of truth. I don't think we smacked it around enough before we tested it last time, so give it a good double smack there, and we've got power. I knew it. All right, how's our sound?
I'm having trouble connecting to...
How's our looks look?
I'm having trouble...
Looking nice and even. First pod fixed up. Let's go ahead and put that back into its cocoon. And we'll grab our next repair here, which is Mark's. That's right. We've got Mark's amp board that we tried to fix the bass on yesterday. And we made some progress, but it's crackling under heavy bass still. So let's go ahead and grab that again here. I actually went ahead and put it into a whole shell because I was wondering if perhaps it was just driving the bass speaker too hard because it was in free air without any calibration. So unfortunately that was not the case. It was neither my subwoofer speaker nor the fact that it was in free air. Seems to be an issue still somewhere on the amp if it's not the bass chip itself. But we're going to try one more thing on here because we replaced their bass chip with a 4312M, which is a different part number than what Apple originally used, which is the 980431. And I've got a couple of 980431s that we can use to try. See if maybe it's just not happy with that 4312. Which would be interesting because I've got the 4312 in one of my HomePods that I've been using for around about 8 to 10 months now. Haven't had any issues with it in mine. be free, my woofa. You can rest now. Okay, here's our amp. We can put that all away. And there's our chip. So what we're going to do is go ahead and take that one off. I've already tried to reflow it a few more times before the stream here, and I was still unsuccessful in getting it to work any better. So we're going to try a different chip. Alright, that came off real easy. Let's grab a 980431 and see if we can't tin that up a little bit before we put it on here. I hate these so much. Okay. Let's clean that up because there's a whole bunch of solder oozing out all over that. Alright. Not feeling good about this one, but you know, we're gonna give it a shot anyways. I've got another amplifier somewhere around here. Oh yeah, over here on standby waiting for the results here. Well, let's see if we got this one working or not. Again, I don't think this one's gonna work. I feel like I got it on there just a little crooked, but it's hard to tell. Ooh! Heard something pop. That's what I was afraid of. What popped? Interesting. I cannot find the source of what popped. Well, I think that is a good sign that we should give up on this board for now. That's okay. Can't win them all. But I'm not going to give up on that board forever. I'm going to set it to the side. I'm going to put it in my fix it later pile. And we'll see if I can maybe get it working again one day. But here, this is another pod that I already started taking apart a while ago. That was actually a parts pod I bought off eBay. So we're going to take the amp out of this one. See if it works. Okay. Now, I cannot remember if the previous seller even said what was wrong with this. But I'm going to go ahead and just check the power diode there, see if it's shorted out. Nope, power diode looks good. So let's see what this thing does. Alright, so this board powers on without a problem. Let's see if it's got any bass, and if it does, if there's any DC offset with it. Alright. Awesome. So we've got around 3 to 4 millivolts of offset on this board. The bass is working fine. So let's go ahead and replace the diode on here just for good measure, and then we will call Mark taken care of. And then we can move on to this mystery MacBook. This will be quick and easy because we don't have a HomePod to put this back together, and we just got to swap this diode, and then we can move on to our MacBook here. Oh, that board will have more chances later, trust me. I don't tend to give up very easy on repairing stuff. I suppose that's why we're here doing what we do today. Alright. I feel better giving them a new board anyways, because if we look back at their board here on the power supply connector, there's a little bit of plastic that unfortunately that you broke off a little bit there. All of the pins are still there, and it still works, but I noticed when I plug a power supply into this, it doesn't always line up, and you have a chance of plugging it in the wrong way. So it's a good thing we're going to go ahead and send you a different amplifier anyways. This one's got, obviously it's the connector's still on there from the factory. It's not going anywhere though, and then the connector on here for the power supply is still in great condition. So, all right. We'll put that to the side. Let's zoom back on out and go run over and grab our MacBook here. So here she is, and here is their original motherboard. So originally their MacBook Air, oh hold on, let me go ahead and update the text status on the screen here. There we go. So Jesus sent this MacBook in to us telling us that it wouldn't power on anymore. When we got it and I plugged it into the charger, I would get a charge light. It would turn from green to orange, but there was no power and no fan spin. When I took their motherboard out and put it into my MacBook, it still wouldn't power on. So I took a deeper look at their logic board here, and I found that one of these, let's go ahead and get up close. Let's go ahead and get up close. It was right here. So you see this little shiny guy right here? There's supposed to be another one right there, and it's completely gone. The reason why it's gone is actually, if you move over here, you see that? You see that green stuff right there? That is what you think it is. That is corrosion. This capacitor somehow corroded and started shorting out, which in turn blew this component off right here, resulting in there no power. So I thought I had it figured it out, but I couldn't identify what this missing part was. I know it's the exact same thing as this, but when I look up the letters on this chip here, I can't find it. And I unfortunately can't find it looking through the schematics or anything either. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but long story short, I wasn't able to find a replacement for this little part here. So I ended up finding another MacBook Air logic board, the exact same one as this one, for like $30 on eBay, for parts of repair not working. So I got it, it showed up, and to my surprise, it actually, the logic board that I bought works just fine. So we went ahead and I confirmed that it worked just fine in my MacBook. So then we went ahead and I put that known working logic board into here, into Jesus's case, and wouldn't you know, it wouldn't power on again. So I was like, huh. So I started swapping everything around again, and then I couldn't figure it out. So I started taking the whole case apart, and that's when I noticed, if we go over here next to the power board, we've got the cable for our microphone. And would you look at that right there? It's got a little bit of damage on there. And sure enough, if I leave this cable unplugged, the laptop turns right on again. So what probably happened was the logic board stopped powering on, and Jesus here probably took it apart. He told me that he already tried to take it apart and replace a few things that he thought was the problem, and he couldn't figure it out. So I'm guessing he may have damaged this microphone cable here during his attempts. And well, I mean, if you're looking for one no power issue, thinking you've only got the one, and you've lo and behold got two different power issues on two completely different locations, then I would be surprised if you would be able to figure that out efficiently. But we figured it out, and here we are. So what we're actually going to do, instead of buying a new microphone, I happen to have, as I said earlier, the exact same MacBook. And I also happen to not want my microphone. So we're going to go ahead and take the microphone out of my MacBook and put it into theirs. And then we'll put this back together with the eBay logic board. And then we'll give it a quick test, make sure everything works the way we expect. And that should be that. So to get to that microphone, I need to take my speaker out. That's just stuck down with a little bit of stickiness. And then our microphone cable is right here. And then there's your microphones with the holes in the case for them. So I think what we'll do, let's see, will this fit in there? Yeah, that should fit. We're going to dip our tool here in a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Try to reach in there and carefully pry my microphone out. I cannot tell if that's coming out or not. I suppose we should try this first on their known broken microphone here. So let's go ahead and try to peel that out and see what happens. Is it as easy as it feels? Oh yeah, sure enough. Okay. So that means we should be able to just pull this one on out. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and stick that back in there. perfectly lined up. Okay. What's the board number? This was an 820 00165-A. It's a 2015 or 2017 i5 MacBook Air. Okay, let's go ahead and reconnect the microphone to the board here. Very good. And let's go ahead and give this a quick power test. Voila. We've got fan spin. And let's go ahead and give this like an SMC reset. Shift control option power. Shift control option power. And then command option. Let's see what that does. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and sacrifice this eBay board for its parts because I don't believe, I mean, it would make sense. It was listed as for parts or repairs, so I was a little optimistic in thinking it worked just because it powered on here. So let's go ahead and do just that. Let's see here, I've got a couple screws that I put in here, so we'll go ahead and take those back out. Or just one rather. Couple ribbon cables. That SSD out of there too. Okay. Parts board and their board. I think, yeah, that's correct. So, first things first, let's go ahead and clean up some of that known corrosion there. Boy, is that icky. we've gotten rid of all the corrosion. I'm curious if the short is still there. Yep, we've still got a short there, so let's go ahead and pull off that corroded cap. See if our short goes away. Come on, little guy. There we go. Do we still have a short? No, we don't. Our short is gone. Excellent. Let's go ahead and pull that same capacitor off of our parts board. Okay. Now we need to harvest this guy from the board, since it blew off as a casualty from the shorted capacitor on the other board. Let's go ahead and get that off. Luckily, it looks like the same parts all over the board, so if we F this one up, we've got a few chances to retry it. Unfortunately, I do not have a reballer for this, so we're going to do it with what we got. Your orientation is verified. So long as I keep it held the same way here. I'm gonna have to block your guys' view here to see this. Sorry. Yeah, this is not going to be easy. There we go. Okay. Is that on there? Oh boy, it is. I don't know how well it's on there, but it is. Slam makes a great point that we should be reballing this chip here, but unfortunately I don't have the tool for that, and I'm not sure it would be. Well, I think I'll go ahead and buy one anyways. If this happened to his and I've got the same one, then there's a chance it could happen to mine. And the fact that I was able to also find the similar issue on Bad Caps forums, that's actually how I found this. I was just searching the internet looking for possible reasons why this won't power on, and I found someone mention this capacitor over here also blowing out this component here, which is exactly what we had. Okay, let's take the fan. Plug that fan in so we know. Come on. Little guy. There we go. Okay. We need our case. Let's go ahead and make sure that this is put back on there correctly. There we go. Let's get these all plugged in. It's easier to connect the keyboard with the battery out of the way. There we go. Let's get our display connected. Let's reconnect to the Wi-Fi antennas. We don't want to blow out the radio. Let's get their SSD put back in. Our spackers. Alright, idiot check. Everything looks good. Everything's connected. Nothing is awry. Let's go ahead and plug the battery back in. No explosions yet. Let's see if it turns on. Wow, Slam. I'm impressed. How did you manage to find that? Oh man, and it still won't power on. It's possible that we didn't get that that chip installed correctly. It's also possible we've got something else going on here. I wonder. Of course, that ripped right off. Let's get that unplugged. Still nothing. Let's go ahead and plug it into power just to be sure here. Okay. We get a green light. It's not turning orange. Oh, I'm dumb. I looked at the board view, but I didn't look at the schematic. Silly me. Yeah, but this still won't power on. It's not even charging. Let's take it back out. Okay, we're out the case. I thought I had... Ah, here we are. I have another one of these floating around that I just that I can use to test. That's strange, we don't even have the green light now. It looks like that may have also gone out. It says 62598HRTZ F620TW. But that chip got really warm. Yeah, that just came right back off. Okay. Yeah, the chip just popped right back off. So unfortunately, I think we might need to try that again. And I'm not sure what the orientation is supposed to be. Let me look. Swap the 6259 chip, common failure. Yeah, it looks pretty roasty too. But unfortunately the TPS 22924C popped off, so we didn't do a great job putting it on there. I'm debating whether or not I get a stencil for that, or yeah, let's just go ahead and try to stick it back on there again. But I need to find the orientation of that chip first. Let's see. TPS 22924C. Give me the data sheet. The data sheet says C should be ground. I don't know which pin's which. Shit. Oh, here we go. Oh, well, that doesn't tell me the chip's orientation, dang it. Yeah, I'm looking at the data sheet for the TPS 22924, and I'm trying to find, like, the data sheet doesn't tell me the orientation of this chip. It gives me the pad numbers, but it doesn't tell me, because there's a little dot on the chip there that tells you, I presume, what would be pin A1. Okay, no, I'm just being silly. A1, so C1 is ground. Okay, so it's the bottom right pad on the board. should be the same as the one next to it. Okay, good to know. That's what it looks like, at least how it's testing to me on the board. Okay, we got another one of those back on there. Let's go ahead and replace that chip. Okay, before I replace that chip, we got the TPS 22924C back on there. I want to see if it works now before we go through the hassle of replacing the 6259 chip next. Okay, still no green light, and that 6259 chip is getting hot. So let's go ahead and replace that. Okay, how does that look? I think all the pads are connected. Yes, sirree. Alright, what happens now? Still nothing. That's rough. Huh. Make sure good connections on 6259. Yeah, I've got good connections. I can see all of the pins are connected. The chip's actually getting warm when we plug it into power. But that's the same thing it was doing before we replaced the chip as well. And I'm not finding any shorts anywhere. I'm looking to see if there's any other hidden corrosion anywhere that might be causing this to not power on. Oh, and did I find some? We've got a little bit of funny business going on over here too. So let's brush that off and see what's going on. Still nothing. Alright, we're gonna do what Slam suggested here, which is we're gonna put some flux on this chip and run the iron around this chip here just to make sure it's all on there properly. It looks like it's on there properly, but your eyes can fool you. Okay. Dang it, still nothing. I think we might need to do a little more research here and learn where we should probe for just do some basic troubleshooting here, because we've replaced everything that was obvious and it still isn't even giving us the green light on the charger anymore. One more check with the thermal camera and make sure. Yep, everything looks calm and collected on here. Alright, well, if you guys have any ideas or things I should check for, feel free to leave a comment. Otherwise, I'm going to spend a little more time on this. I need to look up on the board view and do a little bit of research exactly what I should be seeing where on this board, just because I don't have a whole lot of experience working on these. As for the other stuff, we got all that fixed up. Yeah, that's all we had here for today. If you guys have any questions or comments on this repair or any of the other repairs we've done today, feel free to drop that down below. If you want any more information on doing your own HomePod repairs, check out the website nixfix.com and head over to the common issues section. I've also got my contact info up there if you'd rather mail your HomePod or something else in for repair. In any case, hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.